The story begins with a girl named Nishino, who is waking up by the sound of an alarm, and after showing viewers some good time, she gets ready for school. As she opens the door, she gets scared by remembering something scary from her past. The driver calls her back to reality, and takes her to school in a fancy car. When she arrives at school, everyone greets her. On the way she meets Cid Kageno, but she doesn't really like him. He's just an average guy, who always says her name wrong, and doesn't give her the attention like the rest of students. She tries to correct him when he calls her wrong name, but he looks at other things when they talk. Even though the attention queen is cursing him in her mind, she keeps her cool. After that, Nishino talks about her past. When she was in middle school she had to take a break from the showbiz because of a scandal related to her kidnapping. Ever since that incident, she's been wearing a mask in public to hide her true self. When school ends, she calls her driver, but he doesn't answer, and we see some guys beating him up. After waiting for a long time, Nishino decides to walk home alone because she still hasn't learned her lesson after being kidnapped for the first time. On her way she meets the same guys, and they kidnap her for ransom money. Cid sees this from far away, but he doesn't help her during the abduction. They take her to their hideout. One of the kidnappers tries to give her the taste of his Excalibur, and Nishino has flashbacks of her previous kidnapping. Meanwhile, Cid, wearing a green mask, crashes through the ceiling. He introduces himself as a stylish ruffian slayer. He beats one kidnapper easily, but the other is tougher, he is an ex-military. But Cid is confident in his skills, and they get into battle mode. Using his crowbar he starts to overpower the soldier. When he tries to reach his gun, Cid stops him, and breaks his hand and leg. Even though he has won, he continues to beat him to a pulp, and we have ourselves an MC with questionable morals. After that he frees Nishino, and tells her to be more careful next time. He goes away before she sees him properly. Cid is upset about how the fight went, because his current level is not enough to become the Eminence in Shadows, not sure what he meant but it's the name of this show. Later, Nishino called the police, and her dad pulled some strings and the incident never went public, nor did she find out who the masked man was. The next day, she greets everyone like usual, and she meets Cid again, but this time he gets her name correct. She thinks that he is also wearing a mask to hide his true self, just like her. The following day, we learn that Cid was run over by a truck, and died last night. We are then shown a younger version of Cid, where he mentions that like most children he also wanted to become a hero, but unlike other children he continued pursuing that dream, and learned many skills that needed to make him stronger. But no matter how many skills he learns he can never get the overwhelming power, even if he becomes the world's greatest martial artist, there is nothing he could do if a nuke were to drop. He desires to overcome these limits, and become a being that even a nuclear weapon can't destroy. The scene then shifts, where it's shown that he has finally achieved his dream, where he has created a harem, and became the Eminence in the shadow. We learn that, after he got wasted by a truck, he was reincarnated into a new world as the son of Baron Kageno. Unlike his previous world, this world is filled with magic. For generations, his family has produced dark knights, and they have high hopes for his older sister, who is a pro in several martial arts skills. Cid, on the other hand, strives to remain a background character. However, in secret, he is a master of martial arts and magic, and he slays bandits like a true psycho MC. He has mastered the use of slimes, and he uses them as a body suit and weapon to defeat his enemies. He robs a caravan of art, food, and wealth using his super slimy bodysuit. He notices a cage with a half-alive corpse that is trying to escape. He realizes that it is possessed and emits powerful magic, so he decides to experiment with it. After 1 month, he is able to contain its magic, and surprisingly, it transforms into a beautiful girl. He decides to put on a show and introduces himself as Shadow. He makes up a fake story about an evil group that twisted the history of the dying demon's curse to all the heroes' descendants, turning them into possessed people. When she asks about the name of the group, he comes up with a random name and calls it the Cult of Diablos. He names the girl Alpha and gives her a slime suit. She offers herself to him and vows to eliminate the Cult of Diablos. She suggests that they find other descendants and make them join their team, and Cid wonders if this was a mistake. He agrees with her and decides to call their team Shadow Garden. Some time passes, and we see Cid training with his sister, Claire. Although he could defeat her in a second, he intentionally loses to her, and his sister thinks that he is an ultimate loser who never levels up. His sister has turned 15, and she has to join the Midgar Academy for Dark Nights as per the family tradition. However, on the day of her departure, she goes missing from her room. Her family wonders how she got defeated, and worries for her. Cid learns from his new member Beta that Alpha is already looking into his sister's abduction. They suspect that his sister is perhaps one of the hero's descendants, and the devils don't want her to join the academy. They are trying to find out the possible hideouts where they keep his sister. Cid puts on an act and throws a slime knife onto the map. Although it missed his intended spot, he acts cool and mentions that they will find her there. Beta realizes that there is nothing on that spot, and it could be their potential hideout. Meanwhile, we see Cid's sister locked in a cell with magic sealing chains. The kidnapper inquires about her being possessed, and being cured by his brother, but she mentions that it's just a rumor, and his brother is a loser. But the kidnapper is curious, and intends to take her brother as well, which makes her furious. Just then, Alpha and her team arrive there, and a battle ensues. The kidnapper starts to lose, but he takes in some steroids and starts attacking again. However, this was not enough, and he sneaks out. On his way, he meets Cid, who was lost in the hideout. He underestimates him by seeing him alone and starts attacking. But unfortunately for him, the overpowered Psycho MC criticizes his moves and use of magic and easily defeats him. But the kidnapper devours some more steroids, and becomes more powerful. However, it's still not enough, and he gets defeated. Cid notices a pendant with a picture of a girl. He keeps the pendant and leaves. His sisters arrives back next day after breaking out her chains. All her injuries are healed overnight, and she leaves for the academy the following day as if nothing happened. Cid is excited about going to the academy in 2 years, and meanwhile he decides to work with the girls. But to his surprise, they bid him farewell. According to them, the Cult of Diablos is a global-scale organization, and they are going to fight it. While Cid wonders they just left him as they can't keep up with his charade, and pretend to fight an organization that doesn't exist. 2 years passed since then, and Cid is on his way to the academy. He thinks about his previous life where he is hitting his head against the rock, screaming magic, and jumping in front of a truck. It has been 7 months in the academy, and there he has also made 2 friends, Skell and Poe, who are perfect for background characters. They discuss a bet about yesterday's test where the low scorer has to propose to Princess Lexia, and face the brutal rejection by her in front of the whole school. Cid, who has scored the lowest, has to do it, and his friends expect him to honor his bet. When they reach the school, they see a boy proposing to the princess, and he gets insulted when she brutally rejects his proposal in front of the school. His friends ask him not to lose hope after this incident. However, he is looking forward to it. With a shivering voice, and in a super mediocre way, he confesses his love to the same girl. He was sure he would get a horrible rejection, but to his surprise she accepted his proposal, shocking everyone, and Cid wonders how he suddenly became a rom-com protagonist. In the cafeteria, Cid's friends are discussing how Alexia accepted his proposal. Suddenly, she comes nearby, and joins them. Everyone at the cafeteria is surprised by this, as she is sitting in the lower nobility seats for the first time. The royal food is served, but she mentions that she can't eat it all, and Cid immediately starts digging into her food, hoping that she would dump him soon. She asks him to practice together for upcoming Bushin competition, but he mentions he is in the lowest section 9, to which she mentions that she will take care of it, and wants him to join section 1. The instructor, Zenon, welcomes Cid, and he starts his sparring session with the princess. Cid analyzes that the princess has slow movements and doesn't use much magic. He initially thought that she was matching his level, but she wasn't. She has a perfect technique that stays true to the basics, but it's very plain. The world sees her as inferior to her sister, who is regarded as the most powerful dark knight in the kingdom. After the fight, the princess mentions that she hates Cid's style because it's the same as hers. Zenon asks for the princess's final decision about dating Cid, and she confirms that she will be his girlfriend. We then learn that she's engaged to Zenon, and she accepted Cid's proposal to break off the engagement. Cid, who wants to remain a background character, refuses to help her because he doesn't want too much attention. Alexia reveals that she knows about the bet he made with his friends. She wants him to be her pretend boyfriend until Zenon breaks up with her, and she tosses a coin to the floor. Cid asks if she finds him that greedy, to which she replies yes. Cid, being the ultimate gold digger, jumps over the coin and tells her she's right. She tosses another coin, which he catches with his mouth and decides to become her dog. They spend the following day pretending as fake couples. Cid thinks that even though Alexia is well-mannered in public, behind closed doors she's a whirlwind of insults. He decides to act like a robot that always agrees with her, as debating with her seems useless. Later, when they are hanging out, Cid asks why she doesn't like Zenon. She mentions that he's too perfect, and she believes that no one is perfect. So, he must be a massive liar or a psycho. She considers him a good dog, and tosses another coin. 2 more weeks pass, and while traveling, she discusses his fencing style, and tells that even though it's pretty to watch, she still hates it. She then tells him that she always wanted to be as strong as her sister Iris, so she tried to get stronger in her own way, but it got her nowhere, and now she is called an ordinary fencer. Cid tells her that he likes her fencing style, and she tells him her sister also told the same when she lost at the previous Bushin festival, and since then she hates her style. However, Cid mentions that even if other people see her style as worthless he likes it, which makes her point a sword at him, but he doesn't reply. She leaves, and he thinks that this is the end of this unwanted relationship. The following day his friends ask him if he had plot development with the princess, to which he refuses and they curse him for losing the golden chance. As they enter the academy, they are stopped by Zenon, who mentions that Alexia had been kidnapped, and they arrest him as he is the prime suspect. He surrenders, and realizes that he is in trouble. We then see Alexia chained in a cell, and a crazy doctor is drawing her blood. There is also a disfigured creature with a large hump in chains nearby. Meanwhile, we see Cid tied, and getting tortured because they think he has kidnapped the princess. But the Psycho MC is enjoying this background character event, and puts on a great show when they torture him. The doctor is continuing to drain Alexia, and mentions that his earlier lab was destroyed due to which his experiment was incomplete. He then starts hitting the creature nearby, but Alexia intervenes by asking him to continue taking her blood. On the other hand, we see Zenon submitting the report about the kidnapping to Alexia's sister. Although the prime suspect is Cid, they doubt that he's capable of overpowering her. He's been interrogated for the past 5 days but they have got nothing, and his sister is also causing problems, demanding to release him. They decide to release Cid but keep an eye on him. He meets a suspicious girl on the way home, and it's Alpha. She is present at his apartment, and already waiting for him with food. We then learn that they take turns being Cid's playmate, I meant personal assistant. She informs him that his harem is doing well, and it's expanding. They are also investigating the cult, and suspect Alexia's kidnapping was done by them for her royal blood. While Cid thinks that it's nice for them to play along with his game. She also asks permission to dispose of the guys who tortured him, but Psycho thinks they should be awarded for their performance. Alexia is in awful condition, and there are syringe marks all over her hand. We then see Cid arranging things in his private room. He mentions that he bought all those things by defeating bandits, and by being Alexia's pet. He adds a fake letter as a finishing touch. Beta arrives, and informs him they plan to launch an all-out attack tonight, and they have gathered 114 people, and Cid wonders if they hired extras for this. Cid shows the fake letter, mentioning that he will prelude tonight, and the world would know them. The guys who interrogated him attempt to arrest him again by planting false evidence, but he instantly kills them, while Beta is taking notes of his performance. As the Shadow Garden starts their attack, the crazy doctor decides to inject the creature with his prototype, and it turns into a huge monster. The creature instantly kills the doctor, and frees Alexia before it makes its way out in public. As Alexia tries to escape, she meets Zenon and learns that he is behind the kidnapping. He has also funded doctor research, and wishes to get a seat on the 12 high-ranking Knights Order. He is a typical D-bag who wants fame and money by any means. Alexia tries to attack him, but he easily blocks her, and insults her ordinary fencing style. Alexia doesn't give up but he easily defeats her. Just when she thinks that this will be the end of her, we hear a footstep and it's Cid in his shadow costume. This is where the video ends. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Your support plays a vital role in helping the channel grow. Stay tuned for the next installment.